All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Monique, for this opportunity to be here. It's been an honor the past 2 nights now, third night, to be here, to be a part of it, to work behind the scenes. It's been a blessing, a lot of work, but a blessing. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I will say this. I know for a fact that what God has given me to share with you tonight, and I'm just going to keep it real, is meant to break some holes that people have on their life. So I want to make sure you have the following. I want to make sure you have a pen and paper. I want to make sure you have an open mind, and I also want to make sure that you are ready to be ready for things to break off, ready for things to be broken off of you. So first, before we begin, before we actually jump into everything, I want to make sure we have an understanding of what embrace means. So I'm gonna give you the Webster definition so you can see where we're going. Okay. First, I want you to envision a child running to their mom, their dad, their grandmom, whoever. So a picture how a child runs with their arms open wide, ready to give you the biggest hug in the world. And it's an awesome feeling for the child, and it's an awesome feeling for you because it makes you feel so loved, and it's just something about the excitement associated with a child running to you like, yay! That's the embrace I want you to picture in your mind right now that I'm talking about. I want you to imagine the clasp, the enclosure of arms, the seizing of the opportunity to be close to something. That's the embrace I want you to think about. It's an intimacy. It's a connecting. It's a coming together. And why I am talking about embracing me is twofold. The importance of embracing yourself in a sense of embracing the you that God called you to be, but also embracing me as in a conversation with you and the Father. The only way we're going to break free from some things and embrace the purpose that is on our life is to make that connection with God and make that connection with the me he called you to be. So let's just keep that in mind as we go forward. I'm going to tell you some backstory so you understand my journey to this embracing myself so I can fully pursue that promised purpose within myself. So let me first begin. I'm Philly girl, born and raised on the playground. Is right. No, I'm from Philadelphia. I am the oldest girl of 4 kids, and I was raised by my mother. My father was absent. My father had a drug problem. That is a nice way to say it. He was addicted to drugs, and as a result of his addiction, he was abusive. And while I was young, there are still certain things that I remember. And one of the strongest emotions I remember is, why does daddy always want to be outside the house and not inside the house? Or why does daddy make mommy cry? And I remember as a little kid, and we're talking about less than 5, of wondering, why does daddy not want to be here? And it was the beginning of me not believing that anyone could ever really want me outside of my mother. I knew that my mother and my siblings and that part of my family, but my dad didn't. So enter on the stage, daddy issues. Daddy issues are hard, especially when you become an adult and now you're trying to find yourself and you're really trying to see how can I make this connection with myself when I've been rejected by the person who helped create me. Oh, it was hard. I had so many issues, and I'm gonna tell you some of them. You're gonna be like, why is this child telling me all her business? Because I want you to connect to the story. So daddy issues led to me being very promiscuous growing up. I mean, I can think back to thinking about boyfriends when I was like in 3rd grade. Um, I became sexually active early in my teens. And I'm keeping it real. I have no shame now because I'm free. But I remember sneaking out of the house as a teenager. Sorry, mom, if you're watching. Um, I remember all these things. And I remember once I got to college and started trying to get my life together, it was now like a tug of war for me to try to define, do I love myself, or do I only love myself because I have all these guys who love me or love me? And God, you can't possibly love me because I'm a mess. And you don't want a mess, do you? I had convinced myself of that. And fast forward, I ended up getting married around 25. And I thank God for my husband. But the daddy issues came to my husband because now I'm wanting him to fulfill the void that I still haven't found with God, because I still haven't learned to love me, love and to see myself. I haven't learned to embrace me. I haven't fully learned to embrace God. I was saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, shout on Sundays, hallelujah, went to seminary, but still struggling. Ordained pastor, serving every Sunday, still struggling. Now, with these struggles, creeps in depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. It got real, and it got real fast. But I will say the moment that I realized the power of embracing God was at my darkest moment ever, when I decided to take 57 pills, leave my house, and I put them all into a sandwich bag. Got in my car, left my house. Didn't tell my husband where I was going. Left him with the 4 kids, and I had a full blown plan. I'm gonna take these pills. I'm gonna sit in the car, and I'm just gonna go, because nobody wants me, really. Nobody wants to deal with somebody struggling with depression. I mean, put in the chat and tell me this: if you have struggled with depression and you've embraced that truth, have you felt safe going to the church to share that struggle? I didn't feel safe. I can't speak about your issue. I can't speak about your I shouldn't say issue. I can't speak to how you felt. But I didn't feel safe. And I was the pastor. So I hid it. I hid my struggle. But that night, when I decided, okay, life is done, I went out. Nobody needs me. Nobody loves me anyway. God doesn't love me. I'm a mess. I can't go back to my church and tell them about this struggle. They're going to reject me. Daddy rejected me. I was also in the midst of all this dealing with rejection from a mentor who I looked up to, who decided to abuse that relationship. So it was like, dang, God, are all the people in my, like all specifically all the men in my life just am I just trash? Am I just nothing? How am I supposed to love me when no one else loves me? And you say you love me, but I'm sitting here struggling, so I'm out. I'm out. Got in the car, got my pills, got my Twizzlers, got my smart popcorn, got me some ginger ale. Child, listen. And I proceeded to drive, and I'm crying. I'm pouring my heart out. God, why won't you help me? I can't take this anymore. God, help me. I need the love. I want to feel the embrace. I want to feel the love that everyone talks about, that you offer, that I preach every Sunday to the people that you've called me to be with. But I am falling apart. I can't take it. And immediately, through tears, through speeding on a highway, all I saw was blue signs with an H on the middle. And I followed those signs till I got to a hospital. I parked into the emergency room parking lot, and I screamed. I practically had to crawl into this hospital room, into the hospital waiting room. People looking at me, what's going on with her? Why? What's going? And all I could do was drop all 57 pills in my little hands on the counter and say, help. But it gets more interesting, because that night, from the night I entered into the hospital, and me still crying, God, help me, help me, help me. I hadn't made the connection that he was helping me. I hadn't made the connection that it was God that led me to the hospital. I hadn't made the connection that it was God who was carrying me into the hospital. Because when I say I was crawling, I was crawling. I hadn't made that connection, because all I could see was the trouble, was the pain, was the rejection. That's all I could feel. That's all I could focus on. Get into the hospital room, they take everything from you. I don't know if anyone has ever had a type of mental breakdown. You go to the hospital. I say they strip you, they take everything from you. But what's scary is that night, a nurse came in my room. And that night, that nurse talked to me and tried to convince me to denounce my relationship with God. And I mean, she was going in. She tried to get me she wanted to connect me to her leader. She wanted to talk to me about, she was affirming my feelings and speaking the Bible. That's why I was confused. And all I could say as I laid in that bed, in that hospital room, was, God, help me. I don't want to believe what she's saying, but it's making sense. God, I don't want to believe what she's saying, but it's making sense. God, help me. Finally, she leaves. I get transported to a psychiatric hospital for 3 days. And while I'm there, I heard God clearer than ever before in the psychiatric hospital, to the point where the people allowed me to stay up at night and read my Bible. And I wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, God, I want to connect with you. God, show me how to help these people. God, there are people hurting who don't know that you love them. God, show me how to show them you. Lord, show me how to walk in your will. God, show me that this is not fully about me, and help me not get so caught up in my emotions that I can't see you. Lord, help me to embrace you. I am struggling, and help me find the purpose behind it, Lord. I will not be stuck. I will not be in this situation where the enemy takes my life. All of a sudden, my mindset changed, because I learned to run to God. I had to learn to run to God. How many of you are in a situation where you feel stuck and you're trying to figure it out on your own? You're trying to make it make sense on your own, but you're getting nowhere. Have you surrendered to God? Have you gone to God to embrace him? Have you gone to him and say, Lord, help me? That moment, and I'm going to keep it real, it was only 5 years ago. 5 years ago. That moment was when everything shifted. I ended up going to therapy for 2 years. Hey, no shame. I was in therapy multiple days a week. Hey girl, what we talking about? She helped me break down everything. She reminded me who God was in my life. It was literally a rebuilding. I got closer to God during that time than I ever was in my life. So I'm telling you all this because I know that there are people 2023 who are struggling. It's only 7 days into the year. Who are struggling, who have struggled, who don't know, who don't understand. They can't think straight. They're trying to figure out, how am I going to make this work? Lord, show me your will. Show me what you want me to do. And God is like this. Come. Just come. It don't have to be fancy. You ain't got to speak in tongues. You don't have to roll on the floor. You just come. God said, come, Jalima. I love you. I didn't make up these rules. I didn't put all these things in place. Come to me. Once we learn to come to God, once I learned to come to God, everything started to make sense. Some of us are trying to say, God, show me my purpose. What am I supposed to do? But where are you? So this is the journey you're on. This is the path you're on. God is right here. Are you this way? Are you this way? Are you this way? Are you facing God? What do you need to let go of? What things do you need to clean up in your life? What do you have to get real about with yourself? What do you need to go to God and say, God, show me myself the way that you see me? We want God to show up, but we're not allowing him to embrace us. We don't want to embrace ourselves. I want to share these affirmations with you because one, I think the power of affirmations are just the real deal. But also, I am calling forward anyone who is stuck, who is struggling to see themselves, who's struggling to maybe even believe that they are the masterpiece that God created, as our sister Ashley talked about a couple nights ago. Know who you are. You are God's creation. You are his. Nothing can touch you. Nothing can tear you down, but you got to get real. You got to see yourself the way that God sees you. You got to fix the things that he's trying to show you. You have to be willing to surrender. You have to be willing to be embraced by God, but you also got to love you. I'm going to say these affirmations to you, and I want you to believe them. I want you to confess them. Shoot, if you inside the room right now and you got a marker, go get a marker and write it on your mirror. Write them down. Lord, I am yours. Teach me to lean on and rely in you 100%. I am the woman you've called me to be. I boldly enter into every room you've invited me in. I unapologetically declare your word and speak the truth. I forgive myself for giving up when it got hard. I embrace you and your will for me. I embrace your direction and I embrace me as your daughter. I embrace every gift you placed in me. I embrace the opportunity to be a vessel to bring life and love into your world. I embrace change. I embrace the future. I embrace my identity. I embrace every lesson for me to learn. I embrace the masterpiece that I am. I embrace faith and I denounce fear. I embrace my assignment. I embrace the fact that I don't know everything because you do. I trust your will, Lord. I embrace obedience to your will over the excuse of wanting perfection. I embrace love. I embrace joy. I even embrace the disappointments I will face, knowing that it will all work according to your will. Lord, I embrace you, the perfect Father who knows me from the inside and the outside. And as your daughter, I embrace this opportunity rooted in my purpose to lead others, knowing that you are for us, Lord, and never against us. Ladies, you got this. 2023 is yours. Take it back. Start hard. If you feel like it's hard already 7 days in, listen, start right now. Embrace who God has called you to be. Walk it out. Let's make these things happen because your blessing is for someone else. Your story is for someone else. Be bold and let's go, ladies. I love all of you and thank you for having me this evening.
Well, come on, somebody. Can you say unapologetically unmuzzled? Unapologetically unmuzzled. Jalima, we thank you for your transparency and for sharing your story. Such healing in that story, such deliverance in that story. So many women, even in the chat, were saying that it resonated with them. And many, many people, we've talked about this, you know, I would need to hear your voice and your story. And so tonight, we are so honored that you got unmuzzled, you got free, you got able to walk in your truth. Just the beginning. Oh, it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. And I'm just so honored to be a part of it. So excited. And we just know God's going to do so many more powerful things in your life.